All right, guys, welcome to the channel. So today we're taking a look at this 2019 Yamaha YZ450fx. So this is kind of Yamaha's cross-country racing bike. But I just picked this up off a guy, and I had to drive about 2.5 hours to pick this up. But I just got this last night and just kind of been going through the bike a little bit. It has about 72 hours on it. Now for 2019, that was the first year that they have this app. They have a few different modes that two different modes you can change the tuning on the fly on the bike. So for the 2019 and newer 450fx bikes, they have that option. This bike has a couple aftermarket options, which kind of nice because now I don't have to spend the money on that. For example, it has this FMF PowerCore 4 exhaust. It's got some, caliper guards, disc guards there. These are an upgraded foot peg. It's got some billet aluminum pieces on the brake reservoir cap there, the oil filter cap. One thing I was really excited about is this this fan. So usually the fans are only coming on the WR series bikes. So on those bikes, they're more dedicated hardcore trail bikes where you're going slower. On this bike, it's kind of set up for kind of similar. It's kind of similarly equipped, and the way it is with this fan on there is it's kind of set up as like a WR bike. But this being the FX, it doesn't come stock. It doesn't come stock with this fan. So this is an option that the previous owner put on. So that way, if the temperature is getting hot, it'll kick on, pull air through the radiators when you're going on those slow, more technical terrains. It came with these aftermarket hand guards, Pro Taper bars. Pretty good shape. Plastics are a little rough. This one's actually a little broken here. But I had a 2016 250fx that I really liked, and I sold it last year. And I figured this kind of came up, and I figured that I want to try the 450. I like that in 19, they have these Blue Excel rims on there. They've changed the plastics design. Starting in 19. So 19 and newer is kind of a good year to look at these bikes. The cool thing is it has this app. So with the app, I'll show you just a screenshot here of the app. But what the app does is it's going to allow you to adjust the tuning. You can load in different preset maps for your tuning. You can see engine hours. You can see any service, diagnostic, fault codes, anything like that. You can actually keep track of service. So when you change the engine oil, when you service it, you can read your maintenance. One thing I want to show you on this bike though to get access to that. So first you want to download the Power Tuner app, the Yamaha Power Tuner app, and then the bike has its own Wi-Fi signal. So what you do is you have to just touch the start button here on the throttle side. You touch that once. You don't have to turn the bike over. Just hit it so it activates the electronics on the bike. Then you go into your Wi-Fi settings and you connect to the bike's Wi-Fi. The password to the Wi-Fi, I just took this, I have the bolts off this. So this little black box here, so this is on the left side of the bike where your shift lever is. Left side, there's a little box here. This is your Wi-Fi box. But on the back, there's an SN number. That string of numbers there is your Wi-Fi password. So you log in to the Wi-Fi and then it saves it in there, and then you just, every time you want to access that with the bike, you just go into the app. You have access to that. You can adjust your tuning, perform all those things right from the app there. So that's kind of cool. So that's how you do that. That way no one else can access your bike's information. And that actually just slips in there. That's just a little rubber boot. Slips over that plastic knob there, and you can just slip that back over. These bikes are super powerful. I mean, this is my first 450. I've had a 250 in the past. This thing, it feels similar. The nice thing is, here's the cool thing, guys, is it doesn't weigh a whole lot more than the 250, and the seat height is very, very similar. So I want to give you a couple. I want to give you a just kind of an overview of me sitting on the bike, because I'm kind of a shorter guy. So usually, these bigger bikes, you might think you know, are a little too big. But really, I fit pretty good on it. Once I'm sitting on there, my feet are almost flat on the floor. I want to just kind of show you how someone of my size kind of fits on this. So I'm going to get on it here. Like I said, I'm about 5'8". I have a 32-inch inseam, so my legs are a little bit longer for my frame here. So, you know, this is me sitting on the bike. I mean, my feet are not completely flat touching the floor. I mean, you know, really the ball of my foot is touching the ground. With my riding boots on, they'll be a little bit closer. It sags just a little bit with me on there. I'm about 160 pounds, so, you know, there's a little bit of sag when I sit down. But I really like the riding position on this. You know, these Pro Taper bars, you know, there's different styles and that you can get on these, but these ones in particular really have a great riding feel to them, a great position, hand position, really makes it feel a lot more comfortable. So yeah, this feels like the exact same size of bike. There's been a few. For example, you can do a few things to kind of lighten the bike up a little. The battery, this actually has, the previous owner added in the battery, the lightweight lithium battery. That shaves, you know, 2-3 pounds off the weight of the bike. And that's going to get it around probably 250 pounds. It's probably 256 from the factory. You shave a few pounds off of it, get it close to 250. So still it's not super light, but for a 450, that is I think that's a pretty light bike. Especially because I want to show you guys the bike that I just have previously been riding this past year. You guys might laugh at it because it's kind of a girl's bike, but let me show you this other bike I've been riding. Okay, guys, so this is the bike I've had this last year. This is the Yamaha TTR 230. In fact, this is actually a 2019, so both bikes are a 2019. This is a 230. This is, you know, there's a big difference from this 230 to the 450. I mean, for example, this thing is air-cooled, carbureted, almost all steel frame. It's super heavy, and it does sit a lot lower, so for someone like me, it does fit really nice. My feet can almost fit flat on the floor. I'll show you here. Okay, so with this TTR 230, you know, to swing my leg over, it is a lot not as high. So I can fit with this, my feet pretty flat on the floor. This is a pretty comfortable riding as far as standing height is concerned. Where I had a problem with this bike is it seems like the ergonomics, it has very poor ergonomics, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my size. Like I said, I'm 5'8", 32-inch inseam. But where I had a problem was, and I don't know if I can show you this, I'll try to show you while I'm on the bike. If I'm standing, okay, here's me standing up. This bike didn't really seem like it was very comfortable to stand up and ride. That was kind of the problem. So if I was to stand up on this, it just felt like the handlebars were way too low and my feet were too high, and it was not comfortable to really stand up. So it was pretty comfortable sitting down, but standing up on this bike just was not very comfortable. And so I didn't really enjoy it that much riding it, and so I kind of had this for a little while, and I'm looking to get rid of this bike just because I need more power. This 230 just doesn't have the power of these, you know, fuel injected, liquid cooled 4-strokes that they have. Even though this is just super reliable bike, if you want something just to get out in the woods and on the trail and just kind of putt around, this is a pretty good option. These are super reliable. They haven't changed a lot over the years. But where I think this is good for maybe someone who's shorter, a good beginner bike. So I've had a 250fx. I have had this bike. Now we've got the 450. I think this is probably a good, like I said, kind of a good beginner bike. If you can fit a little more comfortably on the bigger bike, I think it'll be a little better riding experience. Okay, I want to show the seat height on this. So this is the 230. If we get this sitting up, let's say we're about 36. Maybe probably right at 30. I'd say 35.5 inches on this bike. One other thing that probably my other complaint about this bike is, for the size, it's extremely heavy. 251 pounds for this 230. The 450 there is only a few pounds heavier, so it's pretty amazing. This steel frame here, I mean, there's a lot of steel in this frame, and that really makes it heavy. Even though the engine's pretty light, they could really lighten it up if they had more aluminum in this frame. But that's going to increase the cost, less than half of the cost of the this 450fx. So these are cheaper bikes. Let's look at the seat height of this 450fx. So if we look at the seat height here, probably looking at just over 38, probably 38.5 inches. So, you know, there's 3 inches difference in almost 3 inches of difference in height overall on the bike. But even though the 230 is a smaller, you know, more narrow bike, it doesn't feel as comfortable, and I guess that's kind of why I am getting a different bike, is because it just doesn't feel as ergonomic as this bike. This bike just standing up feels great. Sitting down, just the ergonomics of this bike just feel a lot better than the 230. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully, that at least gave you some at least some thoughts to think about if you're considering either of these bikes, the 450fx, the TTR 230. Yes, there are two different types and styles of bikes, different price points, power's different in both. But I really like Yamaha products. I've had the 230 here for just over a year. I've had it out quite a bit, and I've enjoyed it. Like I was telling you, I just don't love the ergonomics of it. It just doesn't feel that comfortable to ride, especially standing up is especially hard, and it's heavy. It's heavy for this size of bike. I'm excited to kind of get into this 450. If you're looking at really the 450 and the 250fx are really very similar size. So seat height is very similar. You're not going to see much difference. I always thought that the 450s were going to be a lot bigger as far as the size were concerned and the weight, but it's really not that much bigger of a bike. The weight's really not that much bigger than the 250. So I'm anxious to get this out on some trails, you know, going to the motocross track, going to some trail riding, some enduro stuff. This is kind of a good in-between bike, you know, as far as just kind of a all-around good bike. It's great at all of those different types of styles of riding. So because I do kind of all kinds of different stuff, we also do a lot of we go to a place where it has a lot of hill climbs, and so I really wanted the power of the 450 to kind of help with those hill climbs and just do some of those more extreme riding where we really need some of that extra power, and I think the 450 is really gonna help with that. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna do a lot more videos of these bikes going forward, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.